Okay, call this Village of Greenhills Council meeting for January 28th, 2025 to order. Clerk, call the roll.
Mr. Falter?
Here.
Ms. Hermes?
Here.
Mr. Warner?
Here.
Ms. Walker? Here. Mr. Lee?
Here.
Mayor Moore?
Here. Okay, we have prayer by Maria Walther, and then the commander of the American Legion will lead us in the pledge.
Lord, we ask you to send your spirit of servanthood upon all of us here gathered here this evening to do your work for the benefits of all in our community. We ask you to bless our elected and appointed officials so they may deliberate with wisdom and act with courage. Protect our men in uniform here at home and anywhere where they would be, and accompany their families and have them, our men in uniform, come home safe from every call they make. Bless the members of our community who comes here to speak before council so they state their cause with honesty and humility. Lord, we ask you to bless us, all of us here this evening. So we do here tonight, we move you to welcome us one day into your kingdom as good and faithful servants. Lord, teach us to be generous so we may understand other points of view, and we would be able to listen to other points of view. And we pray in the name of our brother Jesus, amen.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Then we'll have him, let me do this here first. It'll be 1 minute. We have the approval of minutes of previous meetings, and I'm going to hold on doing the December the 17th because we found a problem with it, so we have to redo that. But if nobody sees any corrections on the January 14th, the minutes shall stand approved. Okay. All right, and so we have a public presentation by American Legion.
I'd like to present to this chair on behalf of the American Legion.
Okay.
It's for your maintenance department.
And does she know we have a survey?
Thank you very much. Now you get that one time to do this.
May I?
Okay, thank you for being here for that, and just a public great job on the snow removal.
Thank you. Shall we take a picture?
He's
gone.
Marianne, maybe a picture?
I'll get one.
She's going to be taking a picture.
On that same topic, I really think that the Christmas lights looked really well done.
yeah.
Oh,
It's a
it's
lot.
amazing what these guys do and can do, and there's only 3 of them doing it right now.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Okay. You gonna give me the check? Yes. Thank you for being here.
Officially got talking.
Thanks.
See you, TK, thanks. See you tomorrow.
All right, we have Jennifer Weichert from the Greenhills Branch Public Library.
Hello. Good to see you all again tonight. A little warmer than it has been, which I'm enjoying. I wanted to just reiterate that our winter checkout challenge is underway right now at all of our 41 locations. So if you enjoyed earning prizes by reading in the summer when you were a kid, now you can earn prizes by reading in the winter as an adult. We have either you can go online and use our Beanstack app to participate, or you can stop at any location and get a paper tracker. Complete 5 activities on the paper tracker, and you can earn a very nice coffee mug, which is this beautiful aqua color. This year, it's been other colors other years, so if you are collecting them and you need this year's vintage, do stop in. We have supplies, but it is somewhat limited, so if you have interest, make sure that you don't take too long about that. And when you sign up, you get a coaster and a Friends of the Library coupon, and by sign up, I mean take the tracker with you, or go on Beanstack and then complete 5 activities, and there's all kinds of different ones. So if you need any help with it or have any questions, library staff are more than happy to assist. One of them is even talk to the library staff about a book. So we're always happy to talk and always happy to help with anything for these different resources that we have. It'll be going on until February 27th. We're already at the end of January. Tax filing assistance. The library will once again be offering we're going to partner with United Way and AARP to help individuals, low to moderate income taxpayers, people on a fixed income, people with disabilities, and those with limited English language abilities are invited to sign up for this free tax help at select our locations. North Central is the closest one that will be doing it. So we will not be having it at our location, but not too far away. And you can either go to chpl.org/tax, or you can call our main library at 513-369-6900 to schedule an appointment. There are limited ones, so it's a very popular one, and you cannot participate unless you have an appointment in anything. But if you have any questions, contact us again, and I'll be more than happy to get you where you need to go. Also, we will have tax forms, so if you need to print out anything from Rita on up to federal, the library can also help with that. We will do free copies of tax forms, and we'll have the instruction booklet available for reference. And we also have the computers, so if you would like to file your own taxes online, we can help you with come on our computers, bring your own device, and log into our Wi-Fi, lots of different ways that we can help with all of that. And we do also have a lot of programs that'll be coming up. We're doing our story times for kids on Mondays at 10:30 a.m. And we have our adult story time for adults with developmental disabilities on at 11:30 a.m. Sign up is required for that one, so we know how many chairs to have set up to be sure we're all good to go. We have started a youth drawing club on Mondays at 4:30 p.m. So if your kiddos enjoy drawing up through teens, anybody who'd like to come and sketch and maybe get a few pointers, it's not like a strict lesson, it's just bring your sketchbook, or we have resources and we'll be happy to help with all kinds of different things. We do have Saturday stories for kids on February 1st at 11 a.m. We're doing an after-school scratch art for kids on February 4th at 5 p.m. and a Valentine gift for the kids that they can create on Monday, February 10th at 2 p.m. Teens can decorate a picture frame on Wednesday, February 12th at 4 p.m. We also have our classic movie club coming up. Adults can create bookmarks on Saturday, February 15th at 2 p.m. Sign up is required on that one, so I have enough supplies as well. Our mystery book club is going on the third Monday, February 17th at 6:30. We also have Library for All, game time for adults, also for adults with developmental and intellectual disabilities. Sign-ups required for that one too. We'll have all kinds of giant Jenga and Connect Four and Cornhole and all kinds of fun. Also, cozy coloring for adults. It's one of those activities for that winter checkout challenge to attend a library event. So we'll have your hot beverage of choice from coffee, tea, hot chocolate, and we'll have coloring pages and some music and just kind of chill out and enjoy coloring for a little bit. And that's going to be on Wednesday, February 19th at 6:30 p.m. And our Music to Grow On story time is on Friday, February 21st at 10:30 a.m. And if you don't know it, we do make take and make kits where if you can't come to the library, you can take an activity home to work with grandkids or family members or friends, and we put them out on the table that's in our hallway often. And they're put out every few weeks, but we don't have a strict schedule. So if anybody's really interested in when those will be going out, we would be happy to have you email us at the library. And the person who's doing it is Kathy Edelen, so kathy.edelen@chpl.org. Email or give us a call. We'll also be happy to pass it along that way. But if you go to your email, we'll be happy to let you know when the take and makes are going to be coming out. Thank you so much.
Jennifer, I am so in awe with all that you do for the planning for that. This is my 49th year of teaching, and some years I have to do 7 different plans, and you seem to do like 24 or 25 of them. And especially for the senior citizens in Greenhills and their grandchildren and so forth. So thank you so very much for everything that you do, and you make it so easy that you're doing it. So it's totally seamless. You're born for this, and I really appreciate your enthusiasm and the time that you devote to it.
Well, thank you so much, and I have a very talented staff in the library. It has really let me do a lot of wonderful things, so that makes my heart glad that we're a community resource for everyone.
Thank you for letting those people come in last minute too. You guys always have the best personality. I don't know who any of them would be, but thank you.
Well, again, so always happy to have you all stop in, and we appreciate being a part of the community as much as you all have us enjoy being a part of the community.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. All right, Chief Tony Spaeth, Greenhills Volunteer Fire Department.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Good evening, everyone. I just want to share a very brief recap of 2024. We ended the year with 656 runs for the year. That breaks down by 444 EMS runs and 212 fire runs. That was 9 more than the previous year. So a little more, but essentially flat. A few of our notable run leaders this year. Our top 10 run leaders were Kim Bain, Cameron Young, James Campbell, Julie Sheets, Logan Bartels, Ben Powers, Joey Knight, Chris Shipley, myself, and Dustin Graham made 194 runs.
Wow.
Our top 10 shift leaders, and this is basically hours that they're on duty, either at home or hanging out at the firehouse. Owen Saylor, Helen Caponelli, Ben Powers, myself, Kimberly Bain, Chris Shipley, Logan Bartels, Julie Sheets, Joey Knight had 1,079 hours, and Dustin Graham was our leader at 1,815. So really, really great performance by everybody. And as you know, you got a lot of great folks doing really, really good work over there in the fire station. 2024, our firefighter of the year was Chris Shipley. We also recognized Charlie Volan and Kim Bain for 5 years of active service. And we recognized Tom Hoffman with 40 years of active service, and he is still at it. On January 1st, we start working right away. On the holiday, we have our board meeting at 1 o'clock every year on the 1st of January, and we swear in our new board officer, or new board for the year, and we elect board officers. So this year's board officers are, for president is Helen Caponelli. Our vice president this year is going to be Chris Shipley. Our secretary is Joey Knight, and our treasurer is, once again, the trustworthy Oscar Hoffman. Just wanted to make a couple of comments here. First is carbon monoxide alarms. We have gotten our fair share of those over the past several months here in the wintertime. And just want to reiterate to everybody watching that how important carbon monoxide alarms are. Luckily, most of the time when we respond, we get nothing on our meter, and it's usually a result of a dead battery in a current carbon monoxide alarm that people have in their homes. Carbon monoxide alarms are only good for about 5 to 7 years. So we recommend that you either have the wired type, or if you have the battery type, that you change the batteries in those just like you do for the daylight savings and your smoke alarm. Change those. And when they go off, we want you to call us. Most of the time when we check the back of them, we find that they're old. So anybody can look at the back of their carbon monoxide alarm and their fire alarm and see when it was manufactured. So if it's older than 5 to 7 years, we recommend replacing those. That being said, we have had a couple that were true emergencies, and so it just drives home the importance of having carbon monoxide alarms. Testing those, and then having good service technician check your heating appliances, your water heater, your gas stove if you have one, and of course your furnace in the house. We're always happy to come out and run our meter. The other thing a lot of folks don't know is that part of your Duke service is that you can call Duke and they'll send a representative to your house. I say free of charge you pay for it in your bill. But you can have them come out and they will do an assessment of your home. And so we just want to remind everybody to be safe there. Shout out to the Service Department for the excellent snow removal. I know you guys all get around like I do. And among the top communities as far as snow removal in my book, as far as those guys getting out there and getting the roads clear. And notice that people send me pictures all the time when they clear the hydrants in front of their house, and we really, really appreciate that. That helps a lot. So we're very, very blessed to have that quality of work in our small little village. Finally, I'm happy to report, I may have mentioned this in previous meetings, but in December, ISO came in and did their audit of the fire department. And for those that don't know, ISO is your Insurance Service Office's rating. Fire departments across the United States have a rating anywhere from 1 being the best to 10. And so over 38,000 fire departments are evaluated each year across the United States. I'm happy to report that we have retained our 3 rating. That puts us in the top 17% of all fire departments nationwide. So that's huge.
That's awesome.
That's awesome.
I mean, it really is. And so, thank you. And the fire rating it's a rating that measures not your performance, but your capacity. So how many fire trucks do you have going to alarms? How good is your water system? Our water system is great. We have 60 to 80 pounds on every hydrant in town, and they're every 300 feet. Water is very plentiful here. Your communications system, which we have an outstanding communications operation here in Hamilton County. They look at training. They look at your upkeep on your vehicles, pump tests, ladder testing. They look at all aspects, and then they assign a number to all of that and come up with a rating. So just wanted to pass that along, Mr. Mayor. That should be in your email box. So I saw that it was just sent yesterday. So just wanted to give a shout out there. Finally, just understand and know we got a lot of folks over there doing a lot of hard work. And so we are preparing our transition from all volunteer to a part volunteer, part-time operation. And so we are looking at every single aspect of our operation, and it's a lot of work. And our goal is to have 16 hours a day, 7 days a week of 3 people in the fire station on duty. And that 16 hours it looks like it's probably going to be 8 in the morning until midnight. And then from midnight to 08, we'll still be covered with responding volunteers. And so that's what we're working towards. Once we understand how many people we need to hire, I'm going through an extensive interviewing process of every single member on the fire department right now. I'm almost done with that. And then when I'm completed with that, we'll have a better understanding of how many people we need to hire. And somewhere around the March time, we'll start advertising and we'll start putting the word out there of that we're hiring part-time firefighters, EMTs, and paramedics in the village of Greenhills. So any questions or comments for me?
Actually, I've got a couple questions. One is, do you recommend any certain smoke detectors or carbon monoxide?
I don't recommend a specific brand. You can go to Home Depot. I just bought a new carbon monoxide alarm myself from my house. Anything that you would buy at Walmart or Home Depot or Lowe's or any of the big box stores, any of the name brands, any of them are really good, as long as you maintain them.
Yeah, I guess my question wasn't so much hunting for the ideal brand, but when I looked at them, I was surprised how many ways they slice it. There's this with that added feature and that with,
Right.
And I just didn't know if there was anything in particular that.
As long as they're UL, they have the UL label
They have
on
to
them,
be
and as long as they have that, you're good to go. We recommend having one where close by to where your heating appliances are, and then have another one close by to where you sleep, so that if you are sleeping at night, that it would wake you up.
Good. And then one other question,
Yes,
not to detract at all from the rating, But do they also give you a list of like things to address, or is it?
They do.
Okay.
Yes, yes. And I'll share that with you guys at the next safety committee meeting. And so we're actually very close to a 2.
Okay. Good.
And so
I figured you were
it's
on
my
that path,
hope
yeah.
that once we get this new system in place and we're able to improve upon some things that, you know, sometime down the road, we could look at possibly upgrading.
Great.
But we got a lot of work to do before that.
No, that's fine.
But everybody should be really proud of it.
Great. Thank you.
I don't think there's many 2s out there, even in the area.
There's not, I can tell you, there's less than 500 ones.
So 3 is very good.
Across the country, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And LA's a one, and they just burned down half their town, so.
Stop.
I'm sorry.
Wow.
But anyway, they obviously have things to deal with that we don't, but,
Right.
not to make light of it, but, yeah, we're very blessed in this area,
Good.
with the resources that we have.
Thank you.
Awesome. Thanks.
Okay.
Thank you,
Thanks for
Chief.
coming.
Thanks, Chief.
Thank you.
And Tony,
Yes, sir.
how did you send that email? We're having problems with the village email server, which we just shut down, right? Because it kept dropping emails that we didn't get, but it would send back an answer saying, we'll get back to you, which we never knew about.
Okay. I'll check.
So double check and,
Yeah, actually, you, and I don't know what the accuracy is, but you got, as the mayor, you got the notification directly from ISO
yeah, and see,
that I got.
and I didn't.
I'll check and
Yeah.
make sure you get it.
Okay, all right, thanks. Okay, we have no public hearings. Reports from municipal officials, municipal manager Yvonne Kovac.
Thank you, Mayor, and I think I'll go ahead and start with that item you were just talking about, because the emails in questions are the ones that have been on the website contacts. And this has been going on off and on since, we believe, March. It was quite a while before we figured it out. It has something to do with rack space. I guess, I don't understand the details of it, but they have filters that were going on and off of, for no reason, on certain email addresses, and finally it got to the point, every time our IT guy thought it was remedied, it would last for a little while, then it would go off again, and it was just so sporadic. We, this week, actually had to, like, totally take it down. We can't go through this. Residents email, they don't hear back, even though it said they'd hear back, and so anyway, if anybody does need to get through to us, you can call the village and get our email addresses temporarily, but know that that's what's going on. So we're getting whatever it is we have to get to have something new other than rack space. So, okay, and then I wanted to back up a little bit to talk about this snowstorm, and it's always kind of fun to hear the facts about that. Again, we had 4 people in service in December, but we had 1 individual leave on the 20th. So we had the big snow on, it looks like it started around January 5th. So we had 3 guys working the roads. Overtime hours totaled 223 and a half hours for, we're doing like a week for you here, since it like snowed, then it stopped a little bit, then it snowed some more. 140 tons of salt were used. We pay $79 per ton, so that was a cost of $11,061. And the 3 trucks used up 248 gallons of diesel fuel, so. In case you like data, there you go. Hopefully that'll be the only snow we have this year, right? Yeah, right. A few things that I mentioned, the Farragut Ingram Road project had gotten started. They are definitely putting the gas lines in now to a number of property owners along Ingram and Farragut. I don't think catch basin work has started just yet, but that'll be the next piece of it. And I'll keep you updated on when they'll be doing like grinding, and paving won't occur until May, but They're taking advantage of whenever there's weather, they can do pieces of it. They are doing that. Update you on a public record request that I mentioned to you at the last meeting. All but 3 items have been provided as of today. Work will continue, but at this point, we have 11 hours mostly. One of those was mine, 10 of those were the finance director that have been spent on this request. My final note is on our community gardens. The signups are going on right now, so if you or anyone you know might be interested in one of the
How
community
many
gardens.
slots, or
give
how
us a
many
call.
been?
We have 20 total open. I think the last time I asked, we had 9 taken already.
Okay.
So.
And how much are they this year?
$25. Okay, I think that's it for now.
Okay, any comments or questions of the manager? All right, moving on, Law Director Jeff Forbes.
Thank you, Mayor. A few items for you tonight. The new General Assembly has gone back to work, and they have introduced their first set of bills already. I think like 12 or 13 bills have been introduced. Only a few have any connection of municipal interest, and I'll sort of summarize a few of those. Keep in mind, these have just been introduced. It's unlikely that they will stay in their current form. I mean, they almost always get tweaked or amended as they go through the process. But right now, Senate Bill 3 was introduced. That would phase down the Ohio income tax to a flat rate of 2.75% over 2 years. Relevant to municipal because if it reduces the income that the state receives, it's potentially less money that would then flow to local governments or more control that they would want to have over local income tax. Senate Bill 5 was introduced. That would to expedite removal of unauthorized residential occupants. I think what that really means is, I think squatters essentially would have been referred to as squatters. And Senate Bill 29 has been introduced, which is about the creation of joint economic development districts. Those already exist. But this change would allow 2 municipalities to join together to create a JED, or a joint economic development district, without a township being involved. The current law requires that it can be a municipality and a township. This would allow 2 municipalities to do it without the township. So that's the new stuff. The only other thing I'll mention, and this is from the last General Assembly, House Bill 315, and it was adopted, signed by the governor. I believe it's taken effect already. Primarily, that changes a lot of things about township law, but there is one piece of it that is maybe relevant. It has to do with responding to public record requests that are for video from law enforcement. And I don't believe we have body-worn cameras, but we do. You do utilize in-car cameras, and you may utilize other video tools. What I have told clients forever is that when you receive a valid public record request, you have to respond to it, you have to provide the records. You can charge the actual cost of what, like the 10 cents a page, or whatever kind of things we typically do. But the law has always said you cannot charge for staff time in preparing those records. This is a change to that. This specifically allows you to charge for staff time, for software, because responding to public record requests for law enforcement video records, there are certain things that you may have to redact from the video, And that's not as easy, it's not a black magic marker like you do on a piece of paper. There's special software that you can get, and that takes a lot of training and a lot of sort of time to go through and, pixelate faces or put the blurry thing over faces or over things that aren't supposed to be released. So this is the first change that we've had in this in a long time, that it would allow you to actually charge. It still says the actual costs of preparing it, but it now says actual cost can include the employee time to do it, the software, up to, I think, $75 an hour, I believe is what it says. So that passed, governor has signed it, that's the law now. It's not quite as relevant if you don't have the body-worn cameras, because that's where most of the issue comes, but it's still relevant to the extent that you have any video records for your police department. So that's kind of the latest landscape on state legislation that has that trickle-down effect on municipalities. And that would end my report, unless you have any other questions.
What's the name of that, the video camera legislation that was passed?
Well, it was House Bill 315.
Okay.
And like I said, if you were to look up House Bill 315 from the last General Assembly, it basically is called various changes to township law. But this one little piece related to the video records actually applies to any public agency, townships, villages, cities, anyone.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
On the one that you mentioned about the squatters, we already had something in place, and this is in addition to, does it have anything to do with the problem that they were having on Stanberry Park? It was on the news all about for weeks about it.
All I know, I haven't really gone very in-depth on what this was just introduced. I just know it's meant to expedite the remove. I mean, there are already ways that you can remove people from residential property that aren't supposed to be there. This, I guess, adds some sort of expedited path to do it faster. It also has something to do with part of the problem you will see in these kind of squatter issues is people will falsify deeds and leases, and this, I believe, is meant to address some of that too.
Okay.
That's awesome.
Yeah. All right, thank you.
Okay, Clerk of Council, Teresa Lawley.
Nothing tonight.
Okay, Chief of Police, Jim Harworth.
Thank you, Mayor. Couple things, we're in the process of interviewing a few for the school resource officers, part-time school resource officers, so that's going well. Hopefully, we can move along in that process. I'm not going to say it's going to happen tomorrow or the next day, but ultimately my goal is to make sure by the start of the school year of this year that we have 2 people in place there. Anything better than that we get, we'll take. So, but it is a long process, but we do have a couple interested in those positions. Last Sunday, or on January 19th, we had our first Cops and Barbers event, Bridging the Gap. They've been great down there at the barber shop in getting this off the ground. We had approximately between coming and going, probably about 20 to 25 individuals that came. So it was just great dialogue. They had great questions. At first it was a little quiet, but once we got to know each other, the questions were great on both sides. So we learned a lot from the young teens, and hopefully they learned some from us also. So we look forward to doing that again. We have a meeting to schedule the next one. It'll be sometime in February. I'll push that out in our in Facebook pages and social media. So the more we can get there, better off we are. Sorry I haven't put out a monthly newsletter this year, or this month, but I'm working on the annual report that I hope to have wrapped up within the next week or 2, and I'll push that out to you. That'll be the whole 2024 annual report. As far as going back to December, which seems like a long time ago now, since January is almost done, we responded to 181 incidents. We took 18 criminal offense reports during the month of December. Out of those 18, 10 of them had to deal with assaults, whether it was a simple assault or aggravated assault. Also domestic violence is included in those assaults. Took 4 theft reports. We arrested 2 for operating the vehicle intoxicated. We had 1 weapon violation, which was a firearm, and 1 violation of a protection order that we made the arrest on. We issued 7 warrant citations. We responded to 24 squad runs with the fire department. Mutual aid to those in Forest Park and Springfield Township. We assisted in 20 different mutual aid cases. 13 parking complaints, 5 domestic trouble runs. We issued 24 traffic citations. We issued 61 warnings during the month of December. And we investigated 6 auto accidents, which is actually more than we investigated during the snow event, a lot more. So I'd like to ditto all the comments that have been made about the service department and the job they did. We had very few, if any, auto accidents during that snowstorm, so we appreciate all their work. One significant case we had recently happened last week. Officer went to initiate a traffic stop for speeding here on Winton Road. The subject fled from him. The officer did not pursue the individual, but ultimately the individual crashed down in the township. With that, the suspect did flee the car and is still not been apprehended. We do have some good leads who we know was operating the vehicle. We hope to make an arrest on that, but just to let you know, we did recover 2 loaded firearms from the vehicle after the subject fled, along with various ammunition, drugs, suspected heroin and marijuana. Hasn't been tested yet, but suspected heroin, marijuana, various pills and drug paraphernalia. So like I said, we got some good evidence and reason to believe that we'll catch up with the individual. But just in case you had heard about something like that. Didn't make a whole lot of news around here in the area, I think, because it ultimately happened in Springfield Township. It was a result of the officer trying to stop the individual for speeding when he fled. So, other than that, that's all I have. If you have any questions, be glad to answer them.
Thank you, Chief. I just
Yep.
wanted to mention that the school resource officers that you're looking to interview is being contract paid by the school district. So that
Correct.
is not
Correct.
Greenhills money, it is the school district.
Yep, we will be reimbursed on a monthly basis when we submit the invoice for the officer's hours and everything. You know, we've already received funding from them for 2 new radios, which are very costly, that we don't have in our budget. So they're funding that. 2 new firearms, because we don't want to use up our spares that we have in case something happens to one of them. So the uniforms, pretty much everything is coming from funding through Winton City Schools. So
Is it also fair to give credit to Steve Denny and his staff?
Absolutely.
To be proactive and have somebody in place, have officers in place?
absolutely. Superintendent Denny's been great to work with. I mean, we have it scheduled every other month, but we're in communication a lot more than that. So, and he was very excited when I told him we were interviewing one yesterday. If the candidate works out, he's soon to be retired. When I say soon to be retired this year, currently an SRO now and has been for 11 years. So very familiar with the SRO. And hopefully he works out and is interested and goes through the background and all the process that we have to do, because they will be a part-time Greenhills police officer. So if that works out, it'd be a great addition. So we'll see.
Thank you.
Yep,
Thank you.
Thank you, Jeff.
All right, thanks, Chief.
Mhm.
All right, mayor's report, we've got December mayor's court. Bank balance ending is $28,331.59. Checks to be issued is $837 to the state of Ohio, $30 to Hamilton County, and $3,243 to the village of Greenhills. I also would like to thank our service department for all the hard work they did during the big snowstorm. Driving a snowplow is really beats you up and wears you out, and it's not something easy to do. And of course, it's always a challenge, especially in our government sections, built sections of Greenhills, where the streets are not quite as big and there's more cars parked on the street because they don't have off-street parking like they do in the newer part of town. and it really makes it tough to figure out where to put that snow. And then also I'd like to thank the Legion for their donation to the Service Department. And the Legion's been very good in donating to the fire department and to the police department. So hats off to the Legionnaires and Maria for helping coordinate some of this.
Appreciate it.
Okay. All right, speaking of Maria, moving on, unless anybody's got a question of me. Intergovernmental Affairs Laws and Rules, Maria Walters.
We are just trying to combine with Mr. Berner because I am co-chair with him and he's co-chair with me. So as soon as we can find a common grounds of time, we'll announce it.
Okay.
Maybe today.
Yeah, let's talk after.
Okay.
Okay, Finance and Audit, Jack Lee.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Council, you'll note that you don't have December's financial report tonight. As you might remember in years past, that all state, all villages, townships, and municipalities that fall under the auditor of State Accounting Software Group have until March 3rd this year to complete, finalize, and close the books for 2024. It's approximately a 2-month process with a deadline that must be met. But the December books stay open until the very end of that process. Typically, in years past, that the final year end shows up at the same time as the January reports that we see in February. So look forward then. That's all I have at this point.
Okay. All right, Safety, Jeff Halter.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. This, I guess it could fall under the umbrella of safety, but I just wanted to take a wild shot. I had gotten home from being downtown. I looked out the window on one of those very, very cold days, and there was a young woman on the corner, and I would call it an ice mountain. We have 3 people working in facilities and getting the streets taken care of, and they've been doing a great job. Boy, you wish you could clean the sidewalks, but what happens is there's these mounds, and I think what happened was they realized these kids had to climb over it or go all the way around it, and she was out there, and I got out there trying to help her, and by the time I got there, she was gone, so I did the other side, which was way smaller. But if by chance she is watching, corner of Hadley and Farragut, for not only her, but anybody else that went and contributed. We really wish we could clean everything off, but that snow was not our typical snow. And our resources were doing everything they possibly could. But when you see that, and it was cold and she was dedicated, because I tell you, it was not easy stuff to move. So I applaud her and anybody else that has lended a hand and cleaned their sidewalks, made it easier for postmen and whoever. As far as the safety committee goes, we're going to we're going to establish a meeting time after this, and then we'll get back on the roll for 2025. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Jeff, do you know, or maybe Mr. Forbes, what is actually the letter of the law about cleaning the sidewalks in front of your house?
I know it's the resident's responsibility.
Great.
Is there anything you would want to expound on that?
24 to 36.
I mean, it is the resident's responsibility. That's right.
Maybe another question, because I saw some of this going around, that people were encouraging people to clear off their sidewalks, but then some people were worried that then some would melt and then it would be icy, and then if somebody fell and they had messed with it, that then they could be sued. Is that true?
So
Because then it's not like,
Anyone
then,
can sue anyone.
anyone can sue anyone.
Yeah.
There is sort of a longstanding part of the law that talks about when it comes to ice and snow, that generally you're not liable if it's a natural accumulation of ice and snow. So some people would subscribe to the theory that I'm better off not doing anything with it, because as long as it's a natural accumulation, I don't have any civil liability. We tend to try to stay out of advising people on what to do, because we're not everyone's civil attorney, but I do know, I can double check, but generally speaking, I believe our code requires that the responsibility to clear it is with the resident at the sidewalk.
That's real clear. It's a tough topic, obviously.
Yeah.
Right.
I know that when we cleared ours off, actually, someone who's had some health problems, I looked down the way and he's coming towards 4 or 5 houses beyond him with a snow blower. But I know that if you do clear it off, chances are it does melt pretty quickly and it's okay. But you can't speak for everybody. Not everybody is capable of doing it too. We have some elderly residents. So I think for the most part, it's do what's right and help somebody else out if you can. And I would worry less about the ICE lawsuit piece of it, but that's just my perspective. Thank
And
you.
of course, this was abnormal. Normally, we have a snow, and the snow melts within 3 or 4 days, and it's not on the ground for 20-some days like it has been this month. This is an exception. This matches the 77 time period snow and freezing weather that we had. All right, moving on, recreation, cable TV, Rachel Hudson.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I don't have anything. We'll schedule a meeting after this today.
All right, community development, Jeff Bonner.
Nothing to report, Mr. Mayor. We will get some meetings on the schedule here, starting for next month.
Okay. Service and Streets, Melanie Hermes.
I'm on the board of, we'll set up a meeting after this, but I do also want to thank our crew for the great work they've did with the snow, during the snow and storm this past month.
Okay. All right. Moving on, this is the time for citizens to comment on legislation listed on the agenda for this session of council. When recognized, please come forward to the podium, complete the sign-in sheet, verbally indicate if you're a resident of Greenhills or a non-resident, then state your comments. Comments will be limited to 4 minutes. Anyone?
My name is Pat Ann Vaughn. I live at 32 Chalmers Lane. And I noticed the only thing that you've got here is a resolution regarding putting a levy on for the 10 mil limitation funding the police protection services for the village. Is this supposed to be for the primary? Is that what you're looking at, or is this for November?
It's for May.
It's for May.
Correct.
Now, is there definitely a May primary already scheduled?
Yes.
No or yes?
Yes.
Okay. Now, I talked to them over at the Board of Elections today, and I understand that you have to pay when you're participating in a primary. So if we didn't put anything on the ballot, it wouldn't cost the village anything. Is that correct? But by the fact that you're putting this on during the primary, it's going to cost the taxpayer some money.
No, they haven't, this is a regularly scheduled election, and
The May
We're
is
not
a
being
general,
charged
the May is a
anything.
general election.
No, the general election is November, the first Tuesday after the first Monday in November. The primaries typically fall in May or August. Jack?
well, May, issues,
Ball director.
anything that we could have put on November, we're allowed to put on in May, and I'm not aware. And we've had a lot of contact with them. I think we'd know by now if we were gonna have to pay something.
Well, I can give you the phone number for Michael Harlow, because he did tell me today that typically if a village puts something on as for a special levy on a primary, that it costs them money. So
Well, it
I'd
used
like to know how much money that is.
I don't know if you have an answer. It used to be if there wasn't other things. So if you didn't have people running for governor that are going to be on the primary, if the primary was only for your issue, you had to pay for it.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying.
But there'll be other things because there are
Well,
going to be
according to
people running
him,
for
there
state
is
offices.
a formula that trickles down depending on, I guess, populations. I'm not sure what the formula is, but he was very clear on the fact that it was going to cost taxpayers. So I'm just wondering why you can't put that on in November,
I don't believe we have a fee, but we'll confirm that.
okay? Well, I'll make a request for a copy of the fee. Thank you.
Okay, we have no unfinished, anybody else? Okay, we have no unfinished business, no new business. We have a resolution number 2025-R01-F. To proceed with submission of the question of levying a 3.9 mil tax in excess of the 10 mil limitation for the purpose of funding for police protection and services for the village of Greenhills. Mr. Lee.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Resolution 2025-R01-F, resolution to proceed with the submission of the question of levying a 3.9 mil tax in excess of the 10 mil limitation for the purpose of funding for police protection and services for the village of Greenhills. Whereas the village council desires to continue to provide the residents of Greenhills with necessary governmental services, and whereas in order to continue to provide police protection and services to the residents of the community, the village council has determined that it is necessary to add an additional continuous levy of the village as authorized by 5705.19J of the Ohio Revised Code for police protection and services. Whereas the amount of taxes which may be raised within the 10 mils limitation will be insufficient to provide an adequate amount for the necessary requirements of the village of Greenhills, Hamilton County, Ohio. And whereas the Hamilton County Auditor has certified to the village council that the dollar amount of revenue that would be generated by a levy of tax at a rate not to exceed 3.9 mils for each $1 valuation equals $354,000 per year, based upon the total estimated tax valuation of the village of $90,677,850. And whereas the village council desires to submit the 3.9 mil additional levy to the electors of the village at the general election to be held on May 6, 2025. Now therefore be resolved by the council of the village of Greenhills, Hamilton County, Ohio, 2/3 of all members elected thereto concurring. Section 1, that this council finds it necessary in the Hamilton County Board of Elections proceed to levy a tax in excess of the 10 mil limitation for the benefit of the entire territory of the village of Greenhills, all of which is located in Hamilton County pursuant to Ohio Revised Code 5705.19J for the purpose of providing police protection and services for the village as authorized by 5705.19J of Ohio Revised Code within the municipality at a rate not exceeding 3.9 mils for or 0.00390 mils per each $1 of taxable value, which amounts to $137 for each $100,000 of valuation for a continuing period of time, and which levy is an additional levy of 3.9 mils. Section 2, that the question of the additional levy be submitted to the electors of the entire territory of said village of Greenhills at the May election to be held at the usual voting places within said village of Greenhills on the 6th day of May 2025. Section 3, that said tax levy be placed upon the tax list for 2025, the first due in calendar year 2026, if a majority of the electors voting therein vote in favor thereof. Section 4, that the clerk of the Village of Greenhills be and is hereby directed to certify a copy of this resolution to the Hamilton County Auditor and to the Board of Elections, Hamilton County, Ohio, not less than 90 days before the election upon which it has been voted, and notify said Board of Elections to cause notice of an election on the question of levying said tax to be given as required by law, and to place on the ballot for the additional levy, and proceed with the submission of the question of the tax for electors of the entire territory of Greenhills. Section 5, that it is found and determined that all formal actions of this council concerning and relating to the adoption of this resolution were adopted in open meeting of this council, and that all deliberations of this council and any of its committees that resulted in such formal action were in meetings open to the public in compliance with all legal requirements, including Section 121.22 of the Ohio Revised Code. Section 6, that this resolution shall be effective immediately upon its adoption. Mr. Mayor, I move for the adoption of this resolution.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. Any comments or questions?
I have a question. So when do we have to have this in order for it to be on May's? Is it today?
Next week.
Next week?
Next week.
Okay. That's all. I was just curious if we had time to double check with what was posed.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Clerk poll the council.
Ms. Walker?
Aye.
Mr. Warner?
Aye.
Ms. Hudson?
Aye.
Mr. Lee?
Aye.
Mr. Halter?
Aye.
Ms. Hermes?
Aye.
Okay. Resolution number 2025-R01-F passes. Okay. Any council members have any comments they'd like to make before we go to municipal calendar? Okay. Municipal calendar, anything? Yeah?
I think there's going to be a lot coming out of here because committee meetings are starting back up, so.
All right, it'll be posted online. Okay, this is another opportunity for residents to speak. This is time for citizens to comment on matters before council. When recognized, please come forward to the podium, complete the sign-in sheet, verbally indicate if you are a resident of Greenhills or a non-resident, then state your comments. If you have questions, the questions will be recorded and referred to the manager's office for a response. This will allow time for thoughtful and thorough consideration to be given to each question. Council meetings are recorded for ease of transcription. Comments are limited to 4 minutes. Speakers may not yield any or all of their time to other speakers.
First of all, good evening. Appreciate the opportunity, and I'm not sure that this is the time for me to make this request or not, but we'll see. It is very difficult to hear you. Some of you, even though you're mic'd, it's still hard. You're soft-spoken, you drop the volume off at the end of your sentences, and you do not mic your work sessions. And according to open meeting requirements in the Sunshine Law, we have the right to be heard, to hear you. So that's difficult. So I would ask that you consider miking any time that this group is in a formal session and that you have members in the audience. I would greatly appreciate that. Thank you. And I also want to commend the service department. I think we do a fabulous job with our roads. I really do. So, and knowing that they were down a person makes it even almost the more heroic. So I appreciate it. I have since I've lived here 29 years now. So thank you for your time.
Appreciate your suggestion.
Thank you.
Yeah, because these microphones we have here only go to the cable and don't work anything here.
Yeah.
And we have a sharp guy out there running the cable. Maybe he can figure out a way to make these also work on some speaker here.
So I didn't know that.
No.
That's for the projector, I believe, so.
Did you hear that, Tony?
He's not talking to you.
Not that
No.
Tony.
Another Tony.
Tony out in the hall on the camera.
Oh, okay. I would, before I start, I'd like to ask Teresa, you run the clock, is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, would you mind just saying boo or say something when there's 1 minute, when it's at 1 minute, because I can't see that clock.
Okay, I can.
But I will be looking at you, I'm addressing the council, that's the problem. Oh, okay, terrific. That's like, you just got to work out these mechanics here. My name is Patricia Ann Vaughn, Pat for short, and you all know me. I have filed to run for a council seat, and I hope to be successful in November. I am elected as the Democratic District Chair for the Village of Greenhills, and I would encourage any of the people that are listening to this who have an interest in running for the seat of mayor. They have until May 5th to file petitions. If you contact me or the Board of Elections, they'd be happy to walk you through the process. It's not really all that difficult. You only need 25 signatures. Same way with people interested in running for council. It is not rocket science, trust me. All you have to do is get your paperwork from the Board of Elections, and we really would like to see the community involved in this election. Last time, we had people that are sitting up here that ran unopposed, and that's really not a good sign for a healthy community. I'd like to question why this government here is actually under a form of mayor, council, manager form of government, when, according to what I read online, it says the form may be categorized in two main variations depending on relative power of the mayor compared to the council, the strong mayor variant and the weak mayor variant. So apparently we've got a strong mayor variety here. Now, it goes on to say that the city charters and so forth designate these things, and somehow or other that got plugged in for this village. The mayor may also have veto rights over council votes, which is interesting, and the council able to override such a veto. Conversely, in a weak mayor system, the mayor has no formal authority outside the council, serving largely as citizens of the city as a more or less just a figurehead. The mayor cannot directly appoint or remove officials and lacks veto power over council votes. So when you read this and compare it to this form of government, it really, people have it in their head that the mayor's position is just ceremonial. But because the input of the powers that have been controlling this town for many years, it's been plugged in that the hierarchy is mayor, council, manager. And I think the fact that Dave Moore has served as our village manager for 42 years with running the administration, and then now he's been on council for 10 years, and it sounds like he's the top dog. It makes me wonder when I look at this, okay, I'm going to run for a council seat, but is this something that needs to be addressed and changed? Because I don't think that the citizens really relish the fact that they have elected 6 people who are supposed to have what you call merit and fitness for the job, which means demonstrated education, training, experience, performance, knowledge, skills, ability, licenses, certification, and fitness to perform the essential functions and to meet, thank you, to meet the qualifications.
I think it's fine because we didn't have the
Qualification
clock.
for a position. Okay. The other thing that really has bothered me is that I've been coming to council meetings for decades. I bought property in Greenhills in '76. I was a landlord for many years. I've worked for the village as a contractor. And when I see that we've got a village that operated under David Moore with employees that had no job descriptions until Jane Barry got here. I think that is abysmal. If you're supposed to be leading this community, that you would be in an administrative position for 42 years and not have job descriptions. Now, I'll be making a public records request for copies of all the current job description, just giving you a heads up.
1 minute.
That should be available. And I think that the villagers that are paying all of these funds for taxes, it's incredible. It is absolutely incredible that the accountability that people see, and now you've told me that the email has not been functioning since March. How can that be? I noticed that now you want people to try to contact the council people by putting something online versus having their own email addresses. That is so archaic. It's no wonder it doesn't work. And villagers are frustrated. I've talked to a lot of them. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Anybody else?
Are we able to respond?
Well, let's let this person and then.
Okay.
Does everybody have a handout?
No.
No.
No,
We didn't do that.
I apologize.
Teresa, do we have to wait now for it to keep going?
I'm watching it to see how long. Did you want me to start it over, are you saying?
Yeah.
I feel like we should, yeah,
Yes.
just
Yeah.
better safe than sorry.
Look, your time's up.
I gave you handouts to read too, so that's public record. Does everybody have a handout now?
Yes.
We have.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Monique Mason-Halter, Greenhills resident. Over the past several months, I have spoken at council meetings about dozens of federal bills being rushed through that eliminate municipal authority over the deployment of cell towers, antennas, and other wireless infrastructure, including broadband satellites. I've provided you with handouts on this and encouraged you to contact state and federal lawmakers with your concerns. Tonight, I've provided you with a copy of a webpage I printed out from the Environmental Health Trust website. It was published on January 21st, 2025. It provides texts and links for updates on these federal bills. I encourage you to go to the website and click on the links. Before I start reading from it, I'd like to thank council members again for writing a letter to the FCC, the Federal Communications Commission, and asking that the agency comply with the 2021 court order to specifically address scientific evidence related to the health and environmental impacts of RF wireless radiation, including 5G. Last month, there were 8 Ohio state lawmakers who had written to the FCC also, and they include Cindy Abrams and Bill Blessing, who represent us here. This month, state reps Gene Schmidt and Michelle Teska also wrote to the FCC. Now I'm going to summarize information from the copy of the webpage that I gave to you titled Congressional Bills That Will Increase Wireless Radiation. I'm going to start by reading the last section first. In regard to these bills, there is an unsupported basis for bills fast-tracking wireless. 1, pending bills are being promoted under the banners of, quote, streamlining, quote, removing barriers to entry, and, quote, closing the digital divide. In fact, these bills ignore constitutional protections, conflict with existing federal law, remove states' rights, and would perpetuate the digital divide. Now I'm going to go back to the top of the printout. There are regulatory gaps and lack of federal oversight. No agency with health or environmental expertise is funded to consider radio frequency effects from environmental emitters. Cell towers, small cells, 5G, 4G wireless network antennas. No oversight, monitoring, or compliance program exists. No safety regulations exist to protect wildlife, trees, or plants, despite some scientific evidence of harm, serious harm, with pollinators being uniquely vulnerable. Outdated FCC wireless exposure regulations. FCC RF exposure limits remain unchanged since 1996. No federal agency has conducted a comprehensive review of the current body of science on this health and environmental impacts of wireless RF radiation. Adverse biological effects have been found at levels well below FCC human exposure limits. The FCC has not complied with the DC Circuit Court order to explain how the U.S. RF limits address impacts on children, non-cancer effects on long-term exposure, the ubiquity of wireless technology since 1996, impacts on the environment, pollinators, plants, and animals. I hope you will consider all this and contact your lawmakers. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hey, Monique, I have a question. Yes. I heard something recently, and I didn't know if you had heard anything about this, but someone that lives in Greenhills, they were complaining about their internet service, and they reached out to their provider, which I think is Spectrum, but something about the regulations, and there was some limitation on what the companies could do because of regulations. So now there's a group of their customers that are on a long wait list because of that. No?
There are so many bills being rushed through, and it's really a mess. Environmental Health Trust has a lot of information on its website, but I don't know.
I was just
exactly
curious
what's
because
going on
I
with the
thought of
cable
you.
providers.
Yeah, I thought of you, and I was
Yeah.
like, ooh, maybe that's a good thing. So I was just curious. Never know.
I don't
Never
know.
It's okay. It's okay. It's all right. Thank you.
Thanks.
Anybody else? No?
Didn't really prepare anything, but sure. I haven't been here in a while. Dan Dusa, 9 and Bowden Court. I am a Greenhills resident. Just some comments about what I heard tonight. I appreciate what Manager Kovacs said about the communication with the village. Now that it has been announced at a meeting, I certainly hope that that's resolved timely. Timely doesn't mean tomorrow, but you know, I do think it's important that residents are able to communicate with you all. And speaking of communication, this isn't a very good weather for the park talks, but I appreciate that you do that during the warmer months. I'd encourage that as well.
And you know it's because the email server that Waycross uses, who we use for our email.
Sure.
It's kind of their problem that we've been.
So there has been.
Yes, I mean we're
addressed.
Yeah, we're
Yeah,
pretty
this isn't the first council meeting that it's been addressed.
Oh.
It's happened before, but that's what she was saying, is that we thought it was fixed, and then some of us were getting emails and some of us weren't, and then it sounds like they were, at some point, somebody maybe called or something, and then we realized that we still were not. So that's why they're just shutting it down and going from scratch, because we agree, and we encourage people to reach out.
We didn't discover the problem initially until in September,
Okay.
when somebody ran into me and said, I sent you an email, and where? It's not, I didn't get it. And so then when she went checking, we found out that there'd been a problem since March. Then they allegedly corrected it.
We weren't aware of it in March. In other
Right.
words.
Right,
Okay.
right. The problem goes back to
Yeah.
well, you weren't aware of it then.
Yeah.
It's like most technology, we rely on it and we get pretty used to it working pretty well for the most part. And in this situation, unless that coincidence happened, you just don't know. You're just assuming that it's business as usual. I have 3 email accounts and I've not had any problems for, 15 years or so. So I'm sure we're addressing it as soon as we possibly can, because it's a pipeline to us, and it's now with the Green Hills Journal not being there, it becomes even more of an important channel.
Right, right.
And sorry, the time's still going, so we want to make
You
sure
will
you
have
get
two
extra
additional
time.
minutes.
Sorry.
Okay.
It like started going randomly while we were talking, so sorry.
Thank you, thank you.
You're welcome.
As far as something that Lisa brought up about the being able to hear, obviously there's just a small room with a lot of echo, so you probably don't want to have like concert speakers blasting your voice out here, but I would agree, it could be a little clearer to, maybe if there was some way to get some speakers out here, it'd be appreciated. Chief Faith, you brought up a couple of things that I thought were really good. First of all, about the our local fire service having the rating of 3, top 17%. I think that's a big deal. We have a small village. We don't have the funds that say a Glendale or a Blue Ash does. So considering what and up until recently it's been all volunteer. So that's wonderful. And thank you for the information about the carbon monoxide detector. I'm going to check mine when I get home. Yeah. It's good to hear about the information about the gas lines, because I saw them on Ingram today. I was wondering what that was all about. There was a comment about, I believe it was Mr. Forbes, about the Ohio bill about the squatters, the vagrants. I guess in these trying times, I would encourage all of us to, at least for people who are residents of Greenhills, that sometimes we all fall under hard times, and to give people some grace. Obviously, we don't want people from outside of Greenhills to come and cause trouble, but so I think that's about it. Unless anybody has anything for me.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Melanie, do you want to mention about the county thing?
The Hamilton County Recorder's website, you can go on and register how your name is listed. You give them your email address, but you also can put how your name is listed on your deed, your property records, and they will send out an email if someone does anything with it.
Oh, really?
So I was mentioning it earlier today, and I was going to talk to the chief and possibly Yvonne about getting something on our website mentioning it.
Yeah.
Always don't click links from other people's emails, but if you Google Hamilton County Recorder,
Directly, yeah.
you can get to the website. I'm just not 100% sure where it is on their page.
That's awesome. Good to know.
So I registered my name and my husband's name, so.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Thank you for what you do. It's not an easy job, so thank you.
Thanks, Dan.
Thank you.
And I want to comment.
Oh, I want to too.
Unfortunately, Pat left
Oh,
before
darn.
I could clarify some things. I was not the manager of Greenhills for 42 years. I was here just shy of 35 years as the village manager. And I'm not totally sure what she's talking about of job descriptions, because we had job descriptions back in the 70s when I started here in 74. They may not have been as detailed as what she wanted to, but, it told the garbage, we did garbage then, it told the workers, pick up the garbage, clean the snow off the streets, those kinds of things. Our form of government really is a weak mayor government. I'm the mayor as the weak mayor. So I marry people, I can run mayor's court, except we leave that up to a magistrate. I kiss babies, that kind of thing.
You have tie-breaking capabilities.
I have tie-breaking capabilities, but the way the charter's written, it's sort of a modified form. And I think she's mainly looking at the state statute,
That was not our form of
which we
government
don't
at
follow
all.
that. We have a charter and follow the rules that are in the charter.
And the charter was set up by citizens.
By citizens, right. And can only be changed by citizens.
I mean, you don't have any veto power as far as I
No,
know.
I have no
that was
veto
like not
power,
our
nothing.
description of our government at all.
So, My main asset is being the mayor, is sticking around and helping try to run the village as efficiently as possible, which I tried to do when I was the manager of the village. And years ago, we used to do comparisons in the village of Greenhills for the size of the community. Ran spending less money than the vast majority of communities our size. A problem that Greenhills has is that it's mainly a burden on the homeowners as the taxpayers, because we have no industry in town that contributes a tremendous amount of money to communities. But I've always prided the police department in running efficiently. The service department had always been an efficient operation. When I started here, and in the blizzard of 77, 76 time period, we had 8 people in the service department. Now we've got 3 people and still accomplishing it. When the federal government left and turned the town over to the village citizens to run the town, they had 23 people in the service department. And so the only thing that we've gotten out of with the service department functioning is contracting out the garbage. So when we did that, we reduced the service department down. But for doing snow removal, you almost have to have at least 4 workers, or you outwork the workers. You can run into violation of federal work laws and trying to have
Sorry if I
everybody
could
work.
add one thing. I think it's a tremendous advantage that you have served in Yvonne's role, municipal manager. You know, so many times you
Talk
could be
about
in that position
certifications,
and not be aware of how it really works and what you have to deal with. So I see that as an advantage, not a disadvantage.
And I have been mayor, this is the start of my 12th year as mayor. So, and I am running for re-election again. My wife said she'd move out of town if I didn't. So, because I considered not doing it, the police chief encouraged me to run, Yvonne encouraged me to run. And of course, the last time I ran, the police chief said he wanted me to run, he'd leave if I didn't. And then I ran, and a year later, he says, I'm gonna retire, and I said, wait a minute, not the deal.
That's funny.
So hopefully you stay. All right, so that's basically all I have, and people still can call into the office. So if somebody wants to talk to the mayor, they can call into the office. The people in the office will relay the message to me, and because I'm not up here hardly that much in the daytime, they'll relay the message to me, and I'll get back to people. And if people have a problem, I still will go to somebody's home and discuss their problems and what have you. Okay, did you want to say something?
Yeah, it's disappointing, and I find it ironic that somebody that is interested in running for council and representing the village residents would leave knowing that someone wanted to comment to what they shared, and conveniently that's the one time that they put on their coat and leave before the end. And I just think that it shows a lot and shows a character or lack thereof. Already mentioned the earlier email. I wanted to mention, because as someone that's a veteran and that knows selfless service, like joining the military at 17 when I could have stayed home and partied my summer before my senior year, I take it very seriously, and I love to advocate and represent for people. And I'm also a just defender by nature. And so I do not like people coming into the territory and just disrespecting people that do so much. And that's what all of you up here do. It's selfless service. And it goes to show with the relationships. It goes to show with how present everybody is. And we have an array of experience being a veteran, and you guys interviewed me. I didn't just get handpicked at this job. Like, someone that was my neighbor and saw me, brought my name up with others, and you guys interviewed me. and wanted to know who you were bringing in, and you were interested in bringing in someone that was a minority, that was a single mom, that has a young family, that's invested in the village, and that speaks volumes. And I think that people don't see that, and don't see all the conversations that we have in the way that we fight for our residents. And so it's very irritating, because I know that nothing can ever be perfect and people are always going to have grievances, but I know that everyone here wants us to all be able to come together and leave the village a better place than what we found it. And that's not to say we found it bad, but we are putting in the time and the effort and the work. And I don't want the village, with the upcoming election, with the residents, seeing the person that's the loudest and thinking, oh, okay, well, they must know what they're talking about, because that's often not the case. And aside from my background, you know, we have people that are professors here that speak multiple languages that I can't even count, military family backgrounds. And I do think the irony of talking about your resume, but then saying that we should have qualifications and all of this. We are experienced enough to do this job. I think that we do it well. There are always areas to improve, and I feel like, have been forthcoming and transparent, and we are an open door. So if you have something to share with us, and we're residents too, so you can definitely see us and find us. And so I just wanted to comment on that, because I didn't want that to be the last thing, and for people to hear that and hear the voice and think that that person is just correct when they are very incorrect.
And frankly, insulting.
Insult, yeah.
One thing, of course, one of the other criteria was to find young blood to replace old blood.
Yeah.
And to get good, capable citizens in town that are concerned about how the town is.
Yeah. One thing, I'm glad you brought that up. There's such an illusion here. You're given a mic. They said, make sure it's pointed to you. You're speaking into it. And it's easy to forget that this is doing nothing to project in the room. And I know I'm not, my voice and my tendency is not as loud as it could be. We'll try to speak up. But maybe there is a way we can do that so that you guys can hear. But by all means, which could be easily misinterpreted, we're not like over here whispering so that you can't hear. That is not the goal or the objective.
Yeah.
If that's the case, I just wouldn't say anything if that's what I was hoping to do.
And I have kids, I can yell. So if you come and say, hey, we can't hear you, we can, teacher, we have no problem. So, because we don't know what we don't know. So if there's a group of people having a conversation and we're not privy to it, we don't have the opportunity to show you all something different. So thank you for bringing it to our attention.
Yeah, give us this symbol. So.
Thank you, we appreciate it.
Which we appreciate that.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Nothing else, meeting adjourned.